What is up, everyone? It is your man on fire mentor, David Mailer. And today we are going to dive into the center of the fire together. And we're going to talk about the relationship advice that you never got or were never given. And we should have had it when we were younger. For those of you that are joining me for the first time, welcome aboard. I am David Mailer, the Man on Fire mentor, and I am here to support you guys in rising with more passion, with more power, and more purpose. We are here as men to embrace our masculine leadership. We are here to be role models for our children. We are here to live from our heart, not from our head, and have the courage to live into the fullness of our potential. Each and every one of us is afforded this exact opportunity in life. And in our brotherhood, we are supporting, we are challenging, and we are holding one another accountable, holding each other to the fire of our greatness. Many men try to chop down other men, try to put down other men, cut them down for the temporary, self-gratification of feeling better about yourself. In our world here at Man on Fire, we're here to build men up. So again, for those that are new, welcome aboard, and let's dive right into the center of the fire and talk about most likely one of the greatest pain points that a man has, which is relationships. Because in today's world, it's pretty easy to do well. It's pretty easy to be successful. It's pretty easy to kick ass in your career, make lots of money, have lots of success, have lots of accomplishments, the trophies, the plaques, the awards, the bigger house, the nicer cars. That's not so hard to have. What's harder to have for a man is to have that same level of fulfillment or that same level of joy in your relationship. And most men will have a tendency to hide behind their work because it's the one area that they feel successful. And they do that because they don't necessarily feel that they have that same level of fulfillment in their relationship. Why? Well, a relationship is one of the most complex tasks that's in front of you of learning how to master. It affords a man the greatest opportunity for self-reflection and to do the deepest discovery of himself and have all of your hurts and your wounds, those alienated aspects of yourself, the shadow, become illuminated and come to the surface. What the hell does that mean in English? It means all your shit's gonna come up in a relationship. All the stuff that's buried that you might not have even known that's there, that's under the carpet, that you tucked away, that you buried, it's going to come to the surface in a relationship. Some people say everything will change once you get married. Yes, it will, because a marriage is an invitation for your shadow, for the darkness, for whatever you buried, for whatever needed to be healed. It's an invitation for all of that to come to the surface. Not to mention, life is all about growth. It's not about stagnation. It's not about staying the same. It's all about growing, because if you're not growing, then you're just dying. And then the question is, are you dying slowly or are you dying fast? So there are two things that will never lie to you. One is the mirror. It will always let you know who you're really seeing, regardless of who you try to sell to the world. And the other thing that will never lie to you is a relationship. And I have coached well over 10,000 men over the past 10 years as it relates to relationships. And it is absolutely the area of the most frustration for men. Yes, some of you are frustrated in your career. Yes, some of you are frustrated with your finances. Yes, some of you have frustration where you're not necessarily living into your full mission, your true purpose as to why you came here on this planet as a man. I understand that those are frustrations. And the biggest frustration that seems to come up time after time for men is in their relationship. So let's dive today into that center of the fire, and let's talk about something that you should have learned when you were younger about relationships to set it up for success. And it's this: your partner's role, unlike the Jerry Maguire film of You Complete Me, is not to fill you. Meaning, a man must find his own internal peace. A man must find his own internal happiness. A man must find his own internal joy. A man must find who he is independent of being in a relationship. You must find your center. You must find your power. You must be rooted in the earth, in the knowingness of who you are. And you must do the work to be in your heart, not in your head, and to be in full trust of your intuition, your internal guidance, and foster and cultivate a relationship with whoever God is for you. That's our role. And too many men come into a relationship where they put the pressure on the woman to make them feel a certain way. And yes, there are women that do the same thing. And we put pressure on each other that, well, when we first got together, I felt all these feelings, and now it's your responsibility to help me maintain that high, to help me maintain that feeling. That's what drugs are. Somebody drinks, finally they get a little bit used to it, and then they have to drink more. And then they build a tolerance, and then they have to drink more. And they keep going after that high that they first felt, but you can't get it. It doesn't exist. And that's what happens with drugs. You just keep wanting to get back that high, and you keep having a dependency on something external to you, right? The alcohol, the drugs, the weed, the porn, the strip clubs. You're relying on things outside of you to fill you, to give you this feeling. Food, TV, social media, the gym, making more money, all these things outside of yourself you're constantly grabbing at, holding on for your dear life. I just got to get these things so that it could finally make me feel that feeling that I want to feel, that feeling of happiness, that feeling of contentment, that feeling of joy. But it doesn't last. Just like eating the crappy food, it doesn't last. The feeling doesn't last. And guess what? In your relationship, the feeling won't last because your partner is not responsible to make you feel a certain way. Now, can you imagine having known this from day one? That because then what happens with guys is, well, I no longer feel those feelings anymore that I first felt when I was with her. I no longer feel the passion. I no longer feel attracted to her. I no longer feel the chemistry. And what happens? Separation, affairs, divorce. And same thing on the woman's end. I don't love him anymore, or I'm not in love with him anymore. I love him, but I'm not in love with him. I don't feel that spark. I don't feel that chemistry. I don't feel that fire. I don't feel that intimacy. I don't feel that passion. So maybe we should end it. Hence the divorce rate. So what am I saying? I'm saying that relationships are set up to fail because there's too much pressure put on your partner to make you feel a certain way. Instead, what's necessary is for a man to recognize, and perhaps the sooner the better, that nobody's here to fill you, right? A relationship is the cherry on top of the cake. Your lady, your wife, your partner, whoever it is for you, her role is not to be the cake. Her role is to be the cherry on top of the cake. And too often you put all the pressure on your partner. And by the way, guys, I'm not saying that you're doing this consciously. I'm saying we were taught this. We were taught, whether we're aware of it or not, that our joy is externally sourced. If I get the nicer car, I'll be happy. If I get the nicer house, I'll be happy. If I get the better jewelry, I'll be happy. If I get the younger, better looking woman, I'll be happy. If I make more money, I'll be happy. If I retire by a certain age, I'll be happy. Guess what? You've already learned, no, you won't. You got the thing you wanted. Did it fill you? No. You eat the cheeseburger, the Big Mac, the Whopper, the fries, the shake, so good going down. Within 5, 10, 15 minutes, the guilt, the shame sets in. You're punishing yourself. It never lasts. Nothing external to you ever lasts. That's why drug addicts are always looking for the next high. Nothing lasts. So what's the problem? The problem is, as a man, you haven't done enough internal work. You haven't chosen the path of growth. You haven't chosen to grow, to stretch, to evolve, right? We've heard the expression, your growth begins at the end of your comfort zone. You haven't chosen the path of up-leveling your frequency, your vibration, and living into a more congruent version of yourself. So what happens is we're all in this trap of putting pressure on our partner to make us feel a certain way. And that can't work. It is not the role for a man to fill the woman and bring her constant joy, and it's not her role to do that for us. We are the icing, or we are the cherry on top for one another. Each person is responsible and must be accountable to doing the work on themselves. And, that's where the deeper spiritual work comes in, where you graduate these lower emotions and these lower things that are bringing you this temporary peace, this temporary state of joy. It doesn't last. And that's why you have millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires that still take their life. They have everything they've ever wanted, and yet it doesn't fill them. And this is where somebody arrives at a spiritual crossroad, right? We've lived our whole life in our head. We followed the rules. We did everything we were told we were supposed to do. And we were promised this happiness. We were promised the happiness when we retire. We were promised the happiness when we have the wife, or when we have the kids, or we have the job that we want, or the money that we want, or the house that we want. And then what? You wake up one day and you're like, well, that didn't work. Like someone who wins the Super Bowl, the World Series, many of them have shared within weeks they had depression and some wanted to take their life, if not already did. So could you imagine the pressure that you've put on your partner to make you feel a certain way? And then all of a sudden, when you're down on yourself, you think it's your partner's fault, and you think getting out of the relationship is what's going to bring you the joy, right? The grass is greener on the other side. And now you have all these projections onto your partner, and she's cold, and she's bitter, and she's harsh, and she's this, and she's that. And the reality is you haven't most likely had enough courage to look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you really growing? Are you really living into your potential? Have you put too much pressure on things outside of you to fill you? And are you willing and are you ready to do the deeper internal work on yourself? That's where, for so many men, the journey begins. It's a journey of growth, to shed all of the layers of who you're not, to strip away the ego, to strip away the identity, and to make room for the soul, to make room for who you truly are, to make room for your heart to be the lead voice in your life, to make room for God to come in and live through you. The personality and the identity and the ego won't get it done. And most of us, we don't realize this, sadly, until we're in our 60s. And then what? Now you have this awareness and most of your life is gone. So relationships are set up to fail, guys. Most of them are set up to fail because you don't have this awareness. I promise you there will come a point in your relationship where you don't feel attracted to her, or you don't feel filled up by her, or you don't feel desired by her, or you don't desire her, or you're contemplating whether or not you married the right person, and you're judging her and you have resentment, or she's judging you and she has resentment, maybe contempt, maybe disdain. It happens. None of that's real. It really has nothing to do with your partner, even if she's acting out, even if she's having an affair, or you're the one having it. It has nothing to do with each other. It has to do with the feelings inside of you that you never got with. Those feelings of inadequacy, being unworthy, being not good enough, clawing, scratching, doing whatever you can to alleviate this pain, running for your dear life, trying to outrun this feeling, and running towards all the things that will fill you and give you this new high. And it never lasts. It never fucking lasts. So what do? You have to look in the mirror and decide, are you ready to do the work? Are you ready to recognize that none of these things will ever fill you, including your partner, your lady, a woman? It's not her role. Your role is to fill yourself, and you come in full. And now in your relationship, you bring no neediness. You have no needs from her. You don't need anything. Does that mean you should be a punching board? Does that mean you should have your boundaries violated? No, of course not. Does it mean you should be with someone that's a taker, and you're a giver? No, I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about you come in needless, where you don't need her to fill you and make you feel like you're enough. You've cut the cord of codependency. You've cut the cord of externally sourcing your happiness and your joy from something outside of you, a woman being one of those things. So many men that message us and reach out, they're still connected to the cord, to their mother. They still bring a neediness and a codependency and this frenetic energy into their relationship, and they don't know who they are without her. And that's because you haven't done enough work on yourself. I'm just giving it to you straight, guys. It's not from a lack of love. I have enormous empathy and enormous compassion for my fellow brothers. And I came from that world. I was a codependent man. I lived that way, where I sourced my joy from others. And it never worked, and it never filled me. And I became the pleaser and the yes man, which is really just saying, please like me, please like me. It doesn't work. So one day your life will have to fall apart, and it's up to you as to whether or not you're going to rebuild it. This time you're going to build it from the inside out, not the outside in. That's the trap that we fall into as men. We want to get filled from things outside of us. And if we move fast enough and we keep changing and we keep bringing more things in from the outside, we can outrun that feeling of we're not good enough. And it doesn't work because you can't outrun yourself. You can't outrun what you haven't looked at. You can't outrun those feelings. You can only at some point in time turn around and face and feel them. This is exactly what we help men with through our programs. Why a guy will come to one of our 4-day immersions is we know how to help him excavate and dig up where he buried in his body these feelings, where he's now externally sourcing everything to try to bring him into a place of happiness or joy. And as I've been sharing, it won't work. You have to go face the things you're running from, and from the inside out, start to rebuild yourself. Find your power, find your strength, find your courage, find your roots, find your heart, reconnect with your intuition, your own internal guidance system, where you don't need something outside of you to give you guidance. You have it inside. Everyone has the ability to connect to their soul, to connect to God, growing that portal and fostering that relationship, just fine-tuning your frequency so you can have that relationship. That's what Man on Fire is all about. It's helping a man fine-tune the frequency. Get off the radio station called, let me help you screw up your life. Let me show you how disconnected we can become. Let me take you to Pain Island. Let's get off that radio station. Let's tune it into the radio station of I love my life. That's what it's all about, guys. But are you ready for that? Magic pill, we're not. Anyone considering ever coming to one of our programs, joining one of our coaching programs, please don't put us in the box of being a magical pill, potion, lotion, or genie that's going to fix you or save you. It simply won't happen. If you make us into the hero, one day you'll make us into the zero. This is for the man that is ready to reclaim his personal power, and you're making an empowered choice to want to be with us. It's a soul knowing, and then it's a courageous step forward to honor that soul knowing. We're not here to change you. We're not here to fix you, because you're not broken. You likely have forgotten who you are. You likely haven't really done the deeper internal work. And quite honestly, we can't help any men that are not ready to do the work. No program will work for you until you are ready and willing to do the work. So that's why I say we're not a magical pill, potion, or lotion, or genie, because you're not broken. You don't need to be fixed, but you got to be ready. You got to be willing. You got to be able. You got to be coachable, and it has to be the right time. Sadly, many men need more pain before they take action. They need more things to fall apart. So the intention behind today was to bring to your awareness that a lot of relationships are set up to fail because you weren't taught something very basic, which is it's not your partner's responsibility to fill your cup. It's not their responsibility to make you feel whole. Again, unlike what we've learned in Jerry Maguire, it's not your partner's responsibility to make you feel happy, and then when you don't feel happy anymore, you think it's their fault. And off you go into fantasy land, texting, sexting, strip clubs, massage parlors, affairs. Doesn't work. Because, you know, everywhere you go, there you are. You can't outrun yourself. And when you think it's her, you wake up one day and you realize it wasn't her, or vice versa, right? A lot of the guys listening like to say, well, why is it always on the man? I'm not saying it's always on the man, I'm not saying it's on the woman. I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. There's no blame. It's a matter of you as a man. Are you ready to take conscious ownership and responsibility for your own life and grow yourself? That's what we're talking about. Every time you hear me speaking. My wife coaches women. Together we coach couples. We have programs on that. We have programs just for men. The Man on Fire programs are all about helping a man find himself again. Reconnect to who you are, right? A lot of guys come in, I want to get her back. I want to get her back. Within 4 days of being in our energy, in our presence, they say, wow, I thought I was coming here to get her back. Now I realize I'm coming to this program to get myself back, because you have been lost. You haven't done enough work yet on yourself. And I say that humbly and with humility. Most men will not begin this journey well into their 50s. Personal growth. Not personal growth so you could feel like you're enough. Personal growth because it's a soul requirement. You refuse to live below the standard of who God made you to be. How many men live in that energy? How many men live in that space? Sadly, not enough. That's why in the Man on Fire world, we are here to call you forward and to wake you up that there is a bigger and better life waiting for you. But you have to believe that, you have to want that, you have to be willing to do the work to get that. No one will hand you the keys to the kingdom. You have to fight and claw your way and crawl your way and do whatever it takes, crawl through the mud and be willing to do the work. Like Andy Dufresne, who crawled through the tunnel of shit to get to the light. There comes a point in each man's life where you'll be faced with the same opportunity. Most men turn around and go back the other way. It's not for the weak. This is a call to action, gentlemen. For those of you that know it is time to live into a higher truth, to live into a higher version of yourself. You're tired of showing up as a pleaser or a yes man or turning her into mom. You're tired of feeling like you have violated your own boundaries and lost your self-respect, and you feel like a shell of the man that you know you are, the man that you know you were. You want to get back to being exactly who you are and have the courage to radiate that to the world, to show the world the real you, to show your kids the real you. You want to be a better man. You want to be a better father. You want to be a better husband. You want to be a better human being. You want to step into the fullness of who God made you to be, and you want to live your mission and live on purpose. Man on Fire is right for you. Let us know if that's you. And most likely you'll be able to have a conversation with one of our coaches if you are in a space where you are ready to invest in yourself. If you just want some more free content, tune into my podcasts, my Facebook Lives, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, lots of beautiful material there. But as I share on all of those, there's a huge difference between the man that is in the stands watching the players on the field as opposed to getting down on the field and doing the work. For the man that's ready to get out of the stands and get back on the battlefield and do the work and live his life fully and commit to a life of growth and bringing that into his relationship where you've already filled yourself and now you come in needless. I need nothing from my partner other than to fill her with my light. And I get to witness and watch the beauty of who she is because I don't have needs. That's the guy that I'm talking to. An example that I can give you guys that's near and dear to my heart is my little French bulldog who recently passed away. His name's Frankie. He was only 3. And for 3 years, I watched this dog give so much love to my wife. The two of them from day one bonded where, like, anywhere she went, he shadowed her. He couldn't have loved her anymore. He couldn't have been more affectionate with her. And it was the first dog that I ever had where the dog wasn't like that towards me. You know, did he occasionally snuggle and cuddle with me? Yes. Did he occasionally give me a lick? Yes. But 95 to 99% of the time, his energy was on my wife. And the most amazing part about it was I needed nothing from my dog. Nothing. And the greatest joy that I got was just simply witnessing who he is, what lights him up, from smelling food to going on a walk to how he runs around the house, how he plays with a toy, how he plays with another dog. Just witnessing him, just watching him, just celebrating, watching him and needing nothing from my dog brought me more love and more joy than if he could have loved up on me. And I'm guessing that a few of you listening right now can really understand what I'm saying. We expect and want so much from our partner. And then when they don't give it to us, we feel empty. But imagine coming into a relationship where you don't have an expectation. You don't have wants and needs. You're clean. And from that place, how you participate and show up in the relationship is so different. One last piece of the story of my dog's passing is that on the day that he passed away, which we didn't know consciously that this was going to happen, but on that day we took a family nap, and I remember he had rested his head on my shoulder and he was snoring in my ear. And every time I tried to move my shoulder, he put his head back on my shoulder. And I remember feeling how special that was, because it was rare that he would do that, and how lucky I felt, not needing it, but receiving it and letting that in. And who knew that that was going to be his last day? To my beautiful teacher, Frankie, who's in the sky, running around, having a blast, fully healthy. And to all of the men out there, here's to you rising with passion, with power, and with purpose. It's your man on fire mentor, David Mailer. So much love to you guys. Believe in yourself. We believe in you. Bye for now, guys.